Welcome back, everybody. RC here, and I'm joined by Mr. Pete Collins. What's going on, man?
How you doing, RC? Well, hey, it's been a great time around here. We've got a lot going on. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we've got a whole crew going up to New York for the Canon Expo.
That's right. So we won't be here, but it's also football season.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that you're able to keep up with the things going on here. So we've got a great show with Elsa Garrison.
That's right. That's right. This aired earlier in the year, and she's pretty amazing in that she was the first female photographer for Getty Images. She's I think one of two. The other one is like in New Zealand. She's covered almost every sport, including the Olympics, all of the major sports shows. So a very, very interesting person. Canon shooter, an incredible sports photographer. We want to make sure that you can at least catch up to that. So make sure you enjoy and come back here next week on The Grid. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another live, obviously, episode of The Grid. My name is Scott Kelby. I am joined by my usual co-host and friend, Mr. Mac Laskowski.
Hello, everybody.
And
welcome back.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I know.
Back. I'm sorry, I felt bad. Anyway, we're very excited to have a very special guest in the studio today with us, sports photographer, not just sports photographer, Getty Images sports photographer, which I'll tell you why that's important in just a moment, Elsa Garrison. Yay, Elsa.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
I'm living the dream.
Living the dream.
Living the dream, you know.
So Elsa, so you are a Getty sports photographer. For those of you who shoot sports out there, you know, there's all these different news services. I shoot for one that is a small, friendly news service. She shoots for the one that we all go, ooh, she's with Getty. So she's there. They're like the top rung of sports photography. And but you don't just shoot for Getty. I heard you shot the World Cup.
I did shoot the World Cup.
You've done the Super Bowl?
I've done a couple, yeah.
I don't like you at all. So I can't even get tickets to watch from the stands for the World Cup. If I see the Super Bowl, it's always from at home.
Now, I will say this, because I heard some of the stories about shooting the World Cup. I don't know that I'm that envious of you, because that sounds freaking hard.
It was a grind, I'm not going to lie. Especially the group stages, and everything in Brazil was so spread out. I was on a plane every other day. There was nothing you could drive to, and it was just a lot of shuttle buses, planes, you know, and it was just...
And so you're paying for the airfare yourself and all.
Well, actually, the company set that up.
Oh, well, yes, see, here's why. Getty. Oh, well, there you go.
They took care of our travel for us. It was great. I can't even imagine the logistical nightmare of... We had about 80 staff in Brazil, spread out all over the place with editors and photographers and technicians, and I can't even begin to imagine undertaking that, organizing and scheduling, but I was in a pool of photographers. So I was one of 6 photographers that were assigned to kind of certain groups. So we all traveled together, which made it much easier. Oh, yeah. More fun. At least you had somebody to hang out with. And by the end of it, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go home. I spent like 27 days with you.
27 days you were there. Wow. Yeah. All right. Now, also, I just want to mention something to our viewers, because I just want to tell them how to get our comments and stuff going. While I'm doing this, I want you to think of some salacious story that happened while you were in Brazil. Do you have it?
Oh, no, I was going to say...
That was not Brazil.
Sure.
Right.
No, okay, yeah, never mind.
Let me just say this.
We'll save that one for later.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, we are taking your comments. If you have questions for Elsa, and she shoots a lot of different sports, football, hockey, baseball, basketball. I went and looked at your football portfolio. It makes you want to throw your stuff in the trash. Let me tell you what, and I told her this story when I first met her. I said, I was looking at your images, and it looks like the players just stop and go, okay, Elsa, ready?
I'm ready.
How about you've got a shot of, and I didn't see the uniforms. I didn't zoom to see who it was. It looks like a college game. The guy's on his knees in the end zone, pointing at you. I mean, you had to be like the lone photographer. The refs there doing the touchdown.
I think I was. I think I know what you're talking about, because sadly I haven't updated my website in a few years, so don't judge me on that alone. But sometimes
that makes it even worse.
Oh, stop. So college games, it can be. There's not as many photographers at an NFL game usually. So I like to kind of camp in a corner of an end zone. Not a lot of people do. So I could have been alone in that, but. It
looks like it's just you. He's looking. I mean, his eyes are dead into your. Like whoever was, even if there was other photographers there, he made that shot for you, and it's just unbelievable. So I want to talk about salacious sports things. I want to talk about what really happens in Brazil and on the sidelines. I want to talk about your gear. I want all that. But you guys, we're taking your comments. Brad's not here today, but RC is helping us out on the comments. So anything that you want to say. Also, if anytime you feel like going on Twitter and just saying, hey, the grid's on right now. We have an awesome, awesome sports photographer.
We would love that.
We would love that. Now, so thank you guys. Elsa, before we get into the salaciousness that I know you just thought about in 14 seconds.
Yes.
Is there are not a lot of women photographers for Getty, right?
I'm one of 2 globally.
Wow, really? So.
And you were the first, right?
Yes. Well, on the history of our company is the sport end was originally Getty Images, and that was acquired by, it's All Sport, which was acquired by, Getty Images in '98, and I was hired in fall of '96. So I'm part of the All Sport side of things, and All Sport, if you don't know much about All Sport, it's started off in England, and it was a kind of a boutique photo agency that kind of turned into a wire service, and once we were acquired by Getty, we became more of a wire presence. And unlike Reuters or the Associated Press or a lot of other places, our photographers are specialists. So I just shoot sports. In my 18 years at Getty, I've only shot maybe 2 news assignments that I've helped out, and that just kind of happened to be in my town, and I was there. But there's very few guys that cross over and do news, sport, and entertainment. So we have the news guys that do news, the entertainment guys that do entertainment, and the sport people.
So now if I see on the sidelines now that you've been on the grid, will you kind of at least give me like a nod? Because I know the Getty people, they don't talk to anybody. They kind of look at you like, oh,
stop.
Trash.
No, not at all.
You don't have to really say, hi, Scott. Just kind of give me one of those.
I can just run and just give you a hug. I'll just be like, Scott.
That's never happened in the history of Getty.
It could happen. It'll happen.
Just a nod, just kind of hey, you're over there. I see you over there.
How'd you get started? Did you go straight into that? Were you?
No, I didn't. I kind of, like I'm sure a lot of us, we started as yearbook dorks. And so my friends in high school and were gifted athletes. I sadly was not, but it was a way for me to kind of hang out with them. And so I could feel like I was part of the game. And what drew me to it, not necessarily the sport end of it, but capturing peak action. And when I first started, it was still film and it was still manual focus. And so it was a skill to be a sport photographer. It was a skill to be able to focus it yourself. And I still kind of use that now and again, but not as often as I used to.
The autofocuses are really great now,
except when it's in a blizzard.
Oh.
Not so much. I learned that the hard way. In past December, I shot a game in Philadelphia where it snowed about 8 inches in the first quarter.
In the first quarter?
In the first quarter.
I was going to show you.
That means the snowflakes are like
yes,
this.
And so autofocus is like
freaking
out. And so another photographer, Al Teelmans, who works for Sports Illustrated, when he started shooting, he learned on Canon to manually focus. Well, I was a Nikon shooter until, a company bought our equipment and switched us over to Canon. So I learned to manual focus on Nikon. He learned to manual focus on Canon. So we swapped gear so we could each manually focus. And then once the snow let down, we switched our gear back.
That's funny.
So it was, because the dial, they spin different ways. And so when you're used to, having them run towards you and you spin it this way, then if you get something completely different, it's hard to cover a game. And a lot of guys just ended up, okay, I'm just going to start on the quarterback. And it was all a running game. You couldn't see to pass. It was literally a whiteout. And it was the coolest thing
for
ever.
that much in a quarter, it's got to be like.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. And I was really, really hoping the Super Bowl would have been like that. But it snowed the next day. And I was like, dang it. That would have been so awesome. I would have killed it.
All right. Now, I want to talk about your gear. Just because I want to know some things. No, I want to know some things. But before we do, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, a couple things. We're going to talk about your gear later in the show, not right now, but I have a guitar story, and I'm going to show you. I brought the guitar on the set. It just came in today.
Nice.
It's a very special, magical guitar that people on Twitter helped me get. So there's got a whole story on that. And also, don't forget, Photoshop World's getting closer. We are, less than 30 days away from Photoshop World. The Photoshop World Conference is in Las Vegas. We hope you'll join us there. It's getting full. I saw that every single pre-con is sold out except for 2, and one of them only had 1 seat left. So the day before Photoshop World, people can come. Oh, it's 20 days, 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 3, 2, 1 second. Go to photoshopworld.com, learn all about it, and come and join us in Vegas. We'll take a short break. When we come back, Elsa's here. We're going to talk about gear till it explodes out of our head. We're live right here in the grid. Don't go away.
We all know the difference a great teacher makes. They inspire you, challenge you, and push you to do the things you never thought you could. For creatives, that means you've got to know your tools inside and out, whether it's Photoshop or photography, lighting or Lightroom, InDesign or After Effects. And while there are free videos out there, you have to watch 30 bad ones just to find a decent one. And a lot of times, the techniques are either outdated, complicated, or just plain wrong. What we need is a better way to learn. One that connects amazing teachers with creative people all over the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A thriving educational community with nothing but the most talented, engaging, and respected teachers in the industry. Then we simplify the whole learning process with short, clear, concise classes. That's exactly what we've created for you right here at Kelby One.
MPix Pro, the full-service online photography lab, helping you grow your business with pro-quality photo products and stellar services. Get started at mpixpro.com.
Hey, we're back.
We are back. Just in case you didn't know.
Yeah, you look surprised.
What? We're back?
Hey, quick, some housekeeping items here. So MPix, which is one of the people that help sponsor the show for you.
And that's where I do all my printing, right?
It is where I do all my printing. So this is actually MPix Pro. It's the Pro.
I know. I'm a member of MPix Pro.
I am as well.
Yeah.
They have a pretty cool special today. So I don't know if you've seen their metal prints lately, but I mean,
dude, I have a metal print.
Yeah,
I was looking around.
They sent a bunch of them.
Set here.
I mean, it's like HD quality printing when you see your stuff on metal. Anyway, they have 20% off of their metal prints today. You can see it. We have up on screen.
Oh, it ends today.
It ends today. So if you want metal prints and you want to save 20%, get over to mpixpro.com.
Yeah. By the way, if you're watching this tomorrow,
I'd still go order one, but you're going to pay 20% more.
Hey, so we're here with Elsa Garrison. She is an amazing photographer. We're just talking about her work in a few minutes. And you know what? If I can just kind of tell my director in the booth, if we could get her website up later, I won't make you pull it up right now, but you guys, I want you to see some of her shots. Some of her football. So I'm a football fan, so I you know, all of your shots are great, but I'm just really drawn to the football stuff. But you got to see some of her stuff. Yeah. Lucky.
Pretty much, yeah.
Lucky. No, I say it's just like, oh my God, they're great. It's
man.
Oh yeah. Can you go to her football portfolio? If you go under portfolios, there's football. I guess we're gonna go to it now. She was quicker than I thought. But
I promise I'll update it. It's been a few years, so.
All right, go through some of this stuff though. Look at this. Strahan, right? Hey, that was Tony Romo making a pass. He wasn't being sacked.
I know it's unusual, and that was
how
in
do
the
you get
end
that
zone.
picture?
I know, he was quick that time. Well, he's playing the Vikings.
Oh, he's playing the Vikings. There you go.
Sorry, I grew up in Minnesota. I can make fun of the Vikings.
Yeah, you can. I saw some Florida State there. Hines Ward. Nice. Lucky. You have to say, look, there. I love that shot. Oh, can you go back one? Can you go, look at that.
I think I was pretty much the only one in that corner at that game.
That's great. What a great shot. That's, oh. Look at that. Oh, you made me thick. Elsa, you made me thick.
It's all right.
You made me thick. No, these are wonderful. They're not all right. These are the kind of images anybody would kill to make. Oh, don't hurt the Titans.
But it's you know, it's...
Pitt.
I feel like at least I'm consistent. You know, it's not like I don't make... I feel like I could come away from a football game with, you know, any of this stuff any day, just because that's what you have to do. That's your job.
You're not making me feel any better.
Oh,
you're making me feel worse.
You do
Hey, we got a couple. I want to talk about gear. We got a couple of questions. The first one kind of relates to gear. This is from Johan. So these are one of the commenters watching live on the show. How do you make sure your gear doesn't get stolen when you're in a place like Brazil? Was that like an issue?
That was definitely an issue, and I locked everything down. I brought a lot of cable locks and baggage locks, and so usually, I don't know if you're familiar with shooting a lot of soccer, but or football, as my dear old friends call it. before the start of the game, they do the group shots. And so you leave your spot, and a lot of times you'll leave your gear. You'll leave your 400 there, and then you'll just take the short lens and the wide lens and go shoot the group pictures. I either brought it with me or I left it in my bag, locked the zipper tight, and then I locked the bag to the LED boards that you're sitting behind and the chair. Like, if they're going to take it, they're taking a lot of things with them. Is how I kind of thought about
through the stands.
Did you ever see anybody try to?
Actually, a game in Brasilia, I can't remember who was playing because it all became a blur after a while, but one of my colleagues was shooting up in the tribune, and he saw someone walking away with gear. There was no credential. It was like fan from the stands. Like, somehow got on the pitch. Like, security was kind of a joke, to say.
Really? The security wasn't?
It wasn't as what you thought it would be. And
I thought it would be like crazy tight.
Well, you would think it was too. There were security people like every 10 feet around the perimeter of the pitch, and a lot of gear got stolen. You would be packing up your gear, and you'd turn this way, and your 7200 would get nicked. I mean, it was bad. So, that's something to consider when the Olympics are there in a couple of years, and I think with that's definitely going to be an issue, but most things are going to be kind of in Rio. It's not going to be as spread out as it was with Brazil. I did the first match in Sao Paulo, and then we took a 5-hour flight to Manaus for the game the next day. It was just like you were just flying, and that was... that's like saying I did the first game in Florida, and the second game I did in Los Angeles. Exactly. And that was kind of what, our norm flight was about 2 hours in between. It was just very spread out. And so it was... you learn to travel light, and thankfully both Nikon and Canon were there, so you could, check out some loaner gear, but it went quickly. And so, I tried to, if I couldn't carry it on the plane with me, then I wasn't taking it because checking your gear was just as, bad. You could put locks on your luggage, but it didn't matter. It might not even arrive. Wow. So,
a couple more.
Yay, Brazil.
Let's see. So Flash wrote, manual focus is still best when the quarterback throws the ball towards your way on the sidelines for quick route options.
I don't know.
It's not really a comment. That's not a question. That's just a comment there.
Yeah.
Personal preference. How about that?
I'm going to go with whatever Elsa says. Okay. There's just another nice comment. Love all these great questions for Elsa. That's right. You did one of the Trailblazer interviews. So you were here for this. We kind of announced it. We haven't officially launched it yet, but we're doing this whole series of women who are trailblazers in some area of photography. And so you were here representing the Getty Women in Sports.
Exactly.
Now, the other woman in sports, she's in Tempe, Arizona. She's in...
at Getty?
At Getty?
She lives in New Zealand.
So there's two of you. You're the only one in the United States?
Yes, I am the only one in the United States.
And we just saw a few minutes ago...
That's cool.
...how you got that gig. Okay, let's see. So NAT Member UK, so my buddy Dave, stick around, Dave, we have a special thing coming up that you will love. Any proper football? Which
proper.
Means
well, I did shot a month of the World Cup, so I think that's
that is proper.
Proper football. I do
take that, Dave.
Yeah, well, I do, and then there's some friendlies that I get to shoot when they come over here. I don't shoot a lot of MLS, which I'm sure a lot of my Euro friends wouldn't call that proper football anyway. So, I try and I just go where they send me. So
this is a cute one from Johan. What's your favorite to shoot, American or European soccer? That may be the dumbest question ever. Do we have soccer in the United States that's played by adults? Kinda.
Hey, I wonder if that's a Johan I know. Johan, you'll know if it's the one that I know. Let me know if you are.
You'll know if I know.
I mean,
he'll know.
The sport for America is American football, NFL football, or college football. Yeah. And so while it's weird about this sport in the United States because soccer is played by every child in America. Like every kid. You cannot go and find a kid who's not. Nick, do you play soccer? Nick plays. We have a studio guest here. Nick is here. Nick, how old are you, Nick? You're 12?
12.
He's 12 and he plays soccer. Every 12-year-old, thank you, Nick, didn't mean to put you on the spot there, bro. Every 12-year-old in America play soccer.
All my nieces and nephews play soccer.
They get to college and nobody ever touches the ball again. It's like everyone runs for the hills. And so in Europe, though, it is what American football is to us.
Exactly.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm going to guess that you probably enjoyed shooting the World Cup. Now, you get to shoot you at Team USA?
I did one game. I did the USA-Portugal match. So that was kind of a heartbreaker in the end. You know, I was kind of,
well, there
like,
you
what happened?
you
You know, but yeah, it was winding down to the end, and then all of a sudden, boom, they scored. I'm like, what? What's going on?
All right.
I was just as shocked as Tim Howard was.
I gotta hit the gear, but somebody's got a good question here. Is there anything you miss about the days of shooting film versus today shooting digital? Anything you miss?
No. Well, I do like the tactile. You have an image and you can hold in your hand. I kind of liked processing film, but at the same time, when you're working for a wire service and you're traveling, and I can't imagine trying to travel with darkroom equipment now. Can you imagine like trying to check? Oh, here's my bag of chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah, bring that on.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's no problem. You know.
Bring your chemicals. We'd love to have those on the plane.
Great. Yeah. No, I'm glad that so that alleviated 2 cases worth of junk that I don't have to carry with me. So digital has made that much easier. I do kind of, I did like the days of manual focus. I felt like it was a skill that it's underappreciated. Certainly.
I can't imagine manual focus now.
I know.
I get enough out of focus as it is. So.
I'm still. I feel like when I shot manually focused more than I kind of mix it up a little bit. Mostly it's auto. I'm not going to lie. It's mostly auto now. But I felt like my composition was much better. I didn't crop off feet as much. So I do move that dot around quite a bit just to make sure I'm not cropping off feet when I could keep them in. So.
Okay. All right, you ready to talk about gear?
Let's talk about gear.
What kind of body do you use?
I have 2 Canon 1DXs, and
right. Me too.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a 3
Still
and a
can't
400.
shoot like you, but I got the same bodies.
I have a 3 and a 4 that I take with me a lot.
A 3 to 4?
A 300 and a 400.
Oh,
I don't
300.
have. Yeah.
I was like, there's a 300 to 400.
No, there is that 2 to 400, which I kind of used it, but I feel like I'm a little old school. I kind of like the primes. Not gonna lie.
So here's what the problem is. You're young and you're in shape. You get to my age and all this, you want the 200 to 400 with a 1.4 telly. You want to pick a corner. You want to never leave for the entire game. You don't care what's happening. You want to be as close to the nacho stand as you can. You want to not have to ever adjust anything.
2 to 4
But you young kids, you're running up and down the field, tearing the place up.
Sometimes I kind of, when I get a little tired, it's like, well, they'll come down eventually. No, I don't. I kind of, with shooting football anyway, I do kind of like to camp in the end zones a little bit because the background's a little cleaner when you're kind of looking straight down versus on the side. It makes me happier when my backgrounds are cleaner.
Yeah.
And nothing worse than like getting a great catch and then there's like a guy in an orange vest standing behind there just like looking up like this. And you're like, oh, great.
So this
or
question,
somebody on the sidelines with a Coke.
Yeah.
This question is from Scott Kelby. So this is the question for me.
All right.
Can I tell you one of the things that I struggle with football? So I'm shooting my first game of the season. I'm shooting all the home games of the Buccaneers, and I pick up other ones during the years when the Bucs are on the road. In fact, today I just picked up the Ravens on October 19th for the Falcons. Anyway, but is my second body. So my main body at a night game is a 400.
Yeah.
I go to that 200 to 400 because it's a day game, but at night I don't want to lose the extra stops and all. So I'm taking the 400. It's always my second body. I cannot settle down on what the second body lens should be. I'll go back and forth between a 70 to 200 and a 24 to 105.
I do 24 to 70.
You do a 24 to 70.
So I kind of keep it at about 50. And in theory, there are a lot of guys that use a 50 prime.
Right, I've seen people using a 50.
Yeah,
like Peter Reed Miller uses a 50
He does, and Damian Strohmeyer as well, which would be about, but then if they're right on top of you, the 50 is a little tight. So I've kind of gone through a few different things. When I shoot like let's say the Super Bowl, for example.
The Super Bowl,
yes. The Super Bowl example.
When I shoot the Super Bowl
it's a
year.
different thing. Like so, regular season NFL, I'm usually using a 4, sometimes a 6. I kind of started gravitating more towards a 6 because the cameras are full frame again, and I feel like it looks so much better. Like the compression cleans out the background nicely. So I'd have 3 bodies with me, a 3 on one for the end zone. a 600 for regular game action, and then when they're really right on top of me in the end zone, I have the 24 to 70, and I have it kind of set about 50, or if I feel kind of like the play is going to be a little closer, I'll kind of keep it at 35. And I have that one. Normally I'm a back button focuser, but on this one I have it on the front button because the camera body and my hands are a little smaller, so then it's easier for me to like pick it up and just push that, and it'll focus.
So I do that too. On my second body, I set it to the regular for the shutter to release.
Yes.
But you know what? I have two problems in sports, and maybe you can help me out. This is like my self-help thing. You guys, turn in 3 minutes. All right. Is number one, I don't change lenses fast enough. I see the play coming. Let's say receiver breaks and he's coming right towards me. I don't want to let go. I don't want to go, okay, he's getting close, I should switch to the other one. I stay too long on this one.
I do too. And then I shot Saturday, I guess a couple days ago, or earlier this week. I had a preseason Giants game, and there's this play because a friend of mine texted me that was watching the game, and it's like, you almost got nailed. And I did kind of hang. He's like, you hung out a little bit too long, and I almost did get clocked. So, so I'm usually pretty quick about getting out of the way. But
do you have any stories of getting?
No, I'm pretty well. There was one. I was getting up to move out of the way, and the security guy behind me kind of grabbed me and used me as a shield. I'm like, really, dude? Just get out of the way. I'm moving. You should move too. It's not really that hard. You just kind of have to be aware of what's going on around you. And when I first started, I shot a lot of hockey, and with the pucks flying, and depending on the arena, in New Jersey, it used to be the photographers that were shooting ice level shot at the end of the I can't even think. The benches, yes. Yeah. And so everyone was wearing hockey helmets because pucks were flying in, sticks were, you had to pay attention. And even when you're shooting ice level now through a hole, I mean, pucks, depending on how far you are to the red line, it could still come in and hit you, or the glass comes, it moves, so you have to kind of get out of the way. So you have to kind of be fast, and I feel like that's helped me with other things. All
right, so you were saying 600, but is it 600? Is that your main go-to?
I think, yes. These days it's been a 600, and then I'll have the 3 for when they're kind of getting in the red zone.
Your 600 is F4?
Yes. At night games it gets a little tough, and sometimes if it's a stadium that is, but these cameras now, they're great. You could shoot, higher ISO. I have like this thing in my head. Maybe it goes back to the film days. Like, I don't want to go much over 3200, even though it's perfectly fine to do it.
So what do you think your average ISO is?
I like to shoot wide open, so I kind of let the light kind of dictate that. So night games.
4,000 for a.
Well, no, night games I try.
No, you can go lower on an f2.8.
Yeah. So I kind of don't like to go above 2,000 myself. Okay. So I kind of make it work. And
what do you shoot in manual or aperture priority?
I shoot manual.
Manual.
Yeah.
Well, when I was shooting the Super Bowl, I was shooting in manual that day.
I know, and then
I was focusing manual as well.
There's some guys that like aperture priority. I'm just too old school.
You're too old school. You said it, not me. Okay.
I'm old school. I will be the first to admit it.
All right. Hey, we got some questions. Well, I want to make sure we get through the gear first. I want to take your questions. We have some good questions coming in. Let me finish up on gear. We're going to take a quick break. Before we take the break, I just want to finish up on
I got that, RC.
You got a 200, you got a 24 to 70 in your second body.
Yep.
And
for NFL or just in general?
Let's do NFL since I kind of want to know.
All right. So usually I shoot a 600 and then I have a 300-2.8. Sometimes I'll take, night games I'll take by 4.
What are you doing with the 300-2.8?
I just sling it around my shoulder. I hand hold it. I don't use a monopod.
But what are you shooting? Like, when do you pull out the 300?
I shoot that when I want to do full body with the quarterback. And if let's say you're 20-yard line in, or you're camping in the end zone, and it's a little too tight for a 6. Yeah. That's when I go to the 3.
That 300 is nice, isn't it?
It is. It's
awesome.
That's
a nice lens.
It's awesome. Sharp as heck.
Oh, it's sharp as heck.
Now,
yeah.
Let me ask you this.
That's a sharp lens. When I was shooting the Super Bowl, I found it very sharp.
Well, and it's great at the end, though. Like, you can, you ditch the long glass with the runner. Every outlet has runners at Super Bowl, and then you can just run on the field. I got the 300 around my shoulder and the 16-35 around my neck, so then that way I can move. And if I'm in a position where when they're doing the trophy presentation, you can take the 300, you can get what you need. I feel it's better than 72. And
so sometimes I have the 300 and I turn to hand it to, there's never anyone there, by the way. Never, ever.
I schlep my own stuff.
Not once. You go, let me hand it.
I carry it. I just sling it around my shoulder and take the 6 on the other and have the 7200 or the 2470 around my neck.
All right.
Now, what type of shots do you like better? Do you like the tighter shots? You
Yes. And I feel like the background's a little cleaner, you know.
Yeah.
I like a clean background.
All right. Hey, when we get
Clean
back,
background.
we're going to ask you some of your questions. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to answer some good questions coming in. Number 2 is I want to talk about maybe some tips, just some, you know, like, hey, do this, don't do that.
All right.
And let's talk about the alcohol and drinking. All right. When we come back, we got a whole lot more. Hey, just want to mention also, I'm going to be in St. Louis teaching my Shoot Like a Pro tour coming up on August 26th. I think it's the 6th. I think it's Tuesday, August 26th. If you look at your calendar and it's a Tuesday and it's late in August, I'm there. And then 2 days later, I'm in Kansas City.
Ooh, you got the St. Louis, Kansas City leg going.
I got the St. Louis, Kansas City leg.
Good barbecue.
Dude,
Two different styles of barbecue.
I have not been in Kansas City in probably 11, 12 years. And my buddy is going to take me to dinner and stuff like that. So. 26? 26 in St. Louis, 28th in Kansas. I hope you'll come out and see me. There'll be all kinds of fun, I promise.
Fine.
And I'll have a 600 and I'll hand it to nobody. We're going to take a short break. When we come back,
I'll take it next time.
When we come back, more Elsa. And by the way, I have good news for you. Elsa has a flight. We're going to actually end the show on time today. This has never happened in the history of the show.
No, it's not.
But it will happen today, or at least close. We also have some giveaways to talk about a little later, because we give away stuff. Take us to break, Matt.
Time for break.
That was good.
I know. I practiced.
Dude, that's so short, it's not even a break.
What could even happen
during
during
more
that?
commercials. I don't know. We can't even do anything. You don't have time to run to the restroom. We don't have time to run to the restroom. We need about a 6-minute break.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're back. We're very, very fortunate to have Elsa Garrison here, who's an amazing sports photographer and a wonderful guest. We got a couple of questions for already coming in. Ski?
All right, we got the first one here. So let's see. Quick comments. Cool when you're excited about something. Let's see. I guess they're looking at you talking to Elsa about sports photography.
Oh yeah,
so.
you don't get to talk to Getty Shoot. I talked to my buddy Rob Thornton, who shoots for Getty.
Yeah,
he's bird brain.
Here's a good one from Digital Dad Indy.
No, I love Rob.
Question for Elsa.
Totally kidding.
Shh. Question for Elsa. Do you sub-specialize in certain sports, or are you assigned everything?
I'm assigned everything, but I do shoot a lot of baseball. And so I feel like consistently over the last, like, let's say 7-8 years, I've been involved in our baseball postseason coverage. So that's always, it's become one of my favorite things to do. I love baseball, love postseason baseball, especially. Cool. It's just so different. But I do a lot of football. I do a lot of hockey. Oddly enough, I shoot a good bit of boxing, which, you know, when I lived in Boston, I didn't get to shoot as much of it. Now that I'm in New York, we have a lot of fights at Barclays and a couple at the Garden. I haven't been to Atlantic City in a while.
Couple on Times Square.
Yeah, a couple here and there. Wrestling
44th
matches.
Street, corner of 44th and Broadway.
Pretty much,
How much travel is, so, I mean, you're based out of New York now, and do you still have to, like, I mean, obviously for the World Cup, but are you primarily staying in New York, or are you still traveling quite a bit?
During the regular season, I'm mostly in New York, and then it kind of, when it gets to playoff time with certain sports, then it's kind of, I go where they need me, and sometimes I kind of lobby, like, oh, well, hey, you know, I have family that live in St. Louis. Oh, the Cardinals are in the postseason. You need some help there. So.
Quick question. Were you there for butt fumble?
What, that Jet game?
Yeah.
I was.
You were there for butt fumble?
I was there for butt fumble.
Oh, man, that's like...
But I didn't really get a good shot of the butt fumble. You know, I should have been, had I...
You know what, it has to...
Shot behind the line of scrimmage, I totally would have nailed it. But I thought, I was hopeful that he's going to, you know, send it forward.
For those of you who are going, butt fumble, just go to Google and type in Sanchez butt fumble. Just type in Sanchez and butt fumble and watch the video. They still talk about that. That was years ago.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago.
It's still on the top of everyone's You know, Jets, all Jet players are like, they can never live that down. Any Jets fan, you're like, hey, how you guys looking pretty good this year? Yeah. I can't believe the coach is still there. Yeah. How about that butt fumble? I know.
Shake your head.
Butt fumble. Sanchez.
All right, more questions.
All right.
I got a question. How many assignments are you shooting each week?
It kind of depends. Everything depends. I guess it depends on the season. In general, a baseball season, I do a minimum about 3 baseball games a week. I live in a market with 3 baseball teams that I cover. I also do Philadelphia. So I don't do as much baseball in Philly, but I do other Philly sports. But I got the Mets and the Yankees. It just, when sometimes they're both in town. Sometimes when one's out of town, the other one's in. So it never ends. When I lived in Boston, when the Red Sox were out of town, I had kind of like a little bit of a break, But you don't get that in New York. So
no, there's always something there.
It's always something.
Let's see here. Serious question for Elsa. What do you find the hardest sport to shoot, and why?
Well, let's see. Boxing it's hard, but it's fun. Everything is moving so quickly, and the challenge to get a nice blood spray or glove on face with a mangled face is really,
like the shot in that's
really
the shot.
hard to get. Getting the impact.
Yeah.
You can see the ripple effect on this because they're going so fast, and most of the time they're lit poorly or it's theater lit, and it's hard to get that shutter speed fast enough to where you're freezing the impact on the face. Every sport has its quirks, and then you just kind of figure it out, and you kind of go from there. But
boxing sounds hard, though.
It is, and I like the faster sport. I feel like the more challenging it is to photograph, the more fun it can be for me.
Yeah.
So.
I want to hear your answer to this next one.
Oh boy.
I thought you were going to ask it.
No, I was going to let you ask it. I think we all just stare at it.
Well, because we don't always ask them in order, so I'll let you ask it.
Right.
Okay, let's just go. Let's just stare.
That's good.
How do you keep up? RC's helping us out. It's this one.
You should ask
So the
this
question
one.
is, how do you keep up with the no-huddle offenses in American football? Doesn't running up and down the sidelines get you winded?
It can, but towards the end of the football season, I'm in much better shape than, say, at the early part of the season. It's a haul, but then you get there, you get your spot, and then they kind of play through it, and it's just part of the game. It's not like I'm constantly running.
Well, so you are not just assigned to shoot one team normally, right?
No.
You're there to shoot game coverage.
Yep.
So you don't have to stay in front of the offense all the time.
Nope.
And
I don't always either.
Right. Well, I think what he was talking about is if you were trying to stay in front of the offense.
Yeah, that's a bit of running. And, it depends on how the teams you're playing and how the defense from the other team's playing. And usually with the NFL, there's at least 2 of us regular season. And so you got the other guy on the other sideline and me. And so sometimes we work it out that if the team on your sideline is on offense, you go in front of the ball and then the other person stays back. So then you're kind of both covered. And that's kind of how we do playoffs and other stuff too. It's like there's always someone behind the ball and there's always someone in front of the ball in case of an interception, a sack, fumble recovery, whatnot. So then at least you got your bases covered. But if I'm by myself and it's a regular season game and one defense is playing really well and I think I'm just going to hang back behind the line of scrimmage and see if the quarterback gets sacked or if they force a fumble. Or, butt fumble,
Butt fumble.
Had I been behind the line of scrimmage like I normally would be, on that situation, I would have nailed it. I would have nailed the butt fumble.
I got another one because we kind of talked about this before. How do you handle, because you're shooting for Getty, but then a lot of brands like Nike, Under Armour, whatever, have deals with Getty where they might be getting images from them of their gear. So
it's more,
what takes priority? Like you get out there, is it just get game coverage first, and then once you feel how do you do that?
You do both at the same time, but the priority is the game coverage first, and then if you can get the shopping list that's in your head, like, oh, okay, this guy's wearing new shoes today. If you can get a close up of this guy's shoes, all the shoe heads and Nike, people will be very happy.
And do you go out there with like a list of get this guy's shoes, get this guy?
I look at it, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and remember all this. And I don't write, some guys will highlight the roster and tape it to their lens hood.
Yeah, I see that quite a bit.
I don't do that. I'm just going to shoot the game the way I need to shoot the game editorially. And if I can pick up the commercial stuff at the same time, then I do that. But then you tend to be shooting a lot more like things that you normally wouldn't shoot editorially. Usually when I cover football, I try and get stock action of both quarterbacks, because you never know who's going to have a great game, who's going to have a bad game. You want to make sure you have something of both quarterbacks, and just in case what they're going to be writing about later that day. And sometimes I'll shoot full body. Most editorially, I'll shoot kind of chest up, because when you're looking at a website, it's a square format. You're kind of horizontal, and tighter images look better on website pages, I think.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, and so, but then for the commercial side of things, they want to see full body, so then you get them both. So you just kind of check things off in your head.
Now you say you sometimes shoot with another guy. Now it was funny that we were just talking about the taping that on the. So my buddy Rob, who shoots for Getty, he bought that thing the quarterbacks wear.
Oh, really?
And he keeps it on his arm. And he said, "Am I totally geeking out?" I'm like,
yes.
Yeah. But here's the thing: one day you might get to shoot with Rob. So I just want to let you know a little bit about him. Whoever he's shooting with, he will always try to kiss you. Always.
Boy.
Every time I shoot with him, I'm like, Rob.
You're like.
But
breath mint first.
Just know that. No, but he does. His breath is phenomenal. Seriously, he's probably popping those things all the time. Just giving you a heads up, Rob Foldy. You see him on your list. He's shooting with me today. That kiss is coming.
Get some action. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you're going to get some action in that game. That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly. Okay,
sorry.
So RC's, you okay, buddy? RC.
That guy's choking
he knows
over there.
Rob.
He lost it.
We all know Rob. He's like. He helped me on my last shoot, and
Your BFFs.
I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, but
it's a moment that will go away.
All right. So, do you have can you give me kind of your mental checklist? So, you gave us a little insight to it just now. I'm looking at the clock and I'm looking back. I'm at the clock and I'm back. We're still okay. Give me kind of a mental checklist. So, I'm going to a game, and it's a football game. Let's just say you were shooting the Bucks and Dolphins this weekend. And what's your mental checklist? So you say that you're trying to get a couple of, you want to make sure you got a good tight shot of both quarterbacks.
Yep.
You want them in action?
Yes.
Do you go for the ball up by the ear?
I try and get ball just leaving fingertips.
Oh, the old fingertip.
The old ball leaving fingertips. Or, if you take the longer lens, your 600s and whatnot, go a little further downfield, and when kind of the C's part, and you could see him just throwing a spiral nice right at you. I like to do that too.
Now, how often do you catch the ball when he throws it right at you?
Not often.
Not often. You drop them a lot?
I do.
We got to drop the cameras.
You could probably
get out there.
Or I could just head. Yeah, exactly.
They drop a lot of them.
Well,
Maybe better this year though. It looks.
Fingers crossed.
Everybody's so hopeful right now, right? Everybody
it's
right
early
now
in the
is
season. Everybody's got a chance right now.
I love our coach Levy. I've met Levy in person when he was with the Bucks. Levy's a great coach and a great guy. Hope they're good this year.
Fingers crossed.
All right. So then what? Now I talk to a lot of shooters who say, all right, I know I need to tick off these shots, and once I get them, I don't have to worry about them anymore. And then you're just covering game action. So what are the other mental shots you want in your head? You're getting both quarterbacks, so you got that covered.
Well, it kind of depends on the story of the game. So early in the football season, you try and get images of newly acquired trades and or draft picks that should may do well during the season, and you try. I kind of follow the flow of the game. So if a particular running back's having a great game, I want to make sure that I have at least a couple images of him. That's kind of how I approach the game. It's like, okay, what are they going to be writing about? What are they going to be talking about? I got to make sure I got something that represents that. So I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
And it depends on the teams too. Like sometimes there are rivalries that, the head coach of one team used to work for, the other head coach, and, or they hate each other. Are they going to shake hands afterwards? That's all part of the stuff that you need to get.
So give our viewers a tip.
Oh boy.
On capturing those coach moments, the moments, I mean, obviously when they go to penalty, let's say that there's, a penalty, and you're waiting, it's in review, not a penalty, but they're reviewing a call.
Yeah.
Give us a tip,
it depends on, I guess, who's reviewing the call, but
it's Ed Hockley. Ed Hockley.
Yeah.
No,
and then so when they're under a player review, most of the time they'll be kind of out a little bit from the bench, and so hopefully they'll be closer to one end zone than the other. It's easier to shoot them from the end zone, shooting it long, versus trying to shoot through all the mess on the side. Sometimes some coaches will come out and they'll kind of follow the play a little bit, and you can get them that way. But end zone, easier. End zone with a 600.
You really like that end zone, don't you?
I do.
I know.
And the
I
600.
kind of live down there. I live
Yeah,
there.
it's.
I only go out to about the 5 or 10 most of the time.
Yeah.
Because then I'll have to move, and who wants to do that?
Who wants to run? You know.
I want to sit there and have a cool. Do you ever set up like a small table with like a drink on it? Sometimes I take
blender,
this little,
you know, make margaritas.
No, I haven't done that because I
No.
can't get power out there. So RC is working on getting me a battery powered one.
Yeah.
But I set up a small little table and I put some snacks and like some Cheetos and things out there. But
Nice.
Do you do that?
No.
You should try it.
I should. It sounds like it's a.
It's
it
bad if
sounds
the play
delightful.
if the play comes in
But
the
in
end
Brazil,
zone, then
everybody
it's-
will eat
Cheetos
it.
go
Everyone will
Everybody will steal it.
Everyone will steal your Cheetos in Brazil.
Have you ever had RC make a crepe for you? RC makes unbelievable crepes.
We just found this out yesterday.
We just
didn't
found this
we?
out yesterday. He sent me pictures of him making the crepes this morning. I swear to God, they were the most delicious good things I've ever seen. I'm like, can you get my wife the recipe? My wife is an amazing cook. She can cook anything.
Yeah.
You know what we need to do though? We really should go to break. Hey, we're gonna take a break. We've got more questions. We have RC sitting on the floor. Crepe Master, he says. Crepe Master RC is here, and Brad is on vacation. That's stinking Brad. And I can't think of anything really else important. Hey, we have a new class going on Kelby Training this week.
We do.
Every Thursday we have a new class. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. What was our class? So last week was. This week is hacking Photoshop? No, last week. Last week was hacking Photoshop with Ben Wilmore. Hidden and hard to find features. You know, he's brilliant.
Oh, dude! If anybody knows like the little hidden and hard to find features, it's Ben.
Ben knows Photoshop on a scary, terrifying level.
This week it's McNally.
And this week Motion Indoors? Is that right?
Yeah, Motion Indoors with Joe McNally.
Oh, last one was Motion Outdoors with Joe McNally. So this is another class, Motion Indoors, Photographing Motion with Joe McNally. Anytime a Joe class comes out on Kelby 1, it just explodes and blows up. It explodes and.
As it should.
As it should.
What is that?
That is what the RC is showing on screen. I wish we could show it to you, but RC does not use Nutella. RC's wife, and I'll say it for him since he can't be on the set, who, by the way, is a ballerina, is a very, very healthy, very health conscious, and very healthy person. And she gets all kinds of organic and stuff that doesn't have any bad stuff in it. So she's the opposite of everyone I know. So instead of getting Nutella, what they actually get is this dark chocolate dreams.
It looks better than Nutella, though. I don't care if it's organic or not.
Dude, when you
dark chocolate peanut butter?
Put that on a crepe. There you go.
God.
Little strawberries. Paradise.
I don't know.
Dude, if that's organic, I'm going organic from now on.
It looks healthy, and that worries me. All right.
I don't think it looked healthy at all. It was dark chocolate with peanut butter. Okay. There wasn't anything healthy about it. I don't think it's like low-cal.
Anyway.
Organic, maybe.
Go to kelby1.com.
Break.
It's like $24.95 a month. You get to watch 1 million classes. So don't go buy one class for like a couple $100. Go watch them all. Like 500 classes or some crazy amount. I think it's over like 500. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Elsa's here. And by the way, she has to leave in 11 minutes. And we have some giveaways to do. And I know that you care. Stick around. We'll be right back. Matt, take us to break.
Hey, Corey, we're going to that new pizza place across the street after work. You in?
I really wish I could, man. I'm under deadline with this book. I gotta get it done.
You're a machine, Corey. You're a machine!
Well, you have no idea.
From the robotic compositing mind of Corey Barker, learn step-by-step Photoshop tricks, type effects, extracting, textures, Hollywood effects, and really badass 3D. Photoshop Down and Dirty Tricks for Designers, Volume 2. Your mind will be composited away.
And we're back.
There we go.
Hey! Yes, yes!
That was good. You jumped right in.
Good.
You recognized the hole and you jumped
First
in on
guest to bring us back in. First
Really?
guest. We've
What can
done
I
like
say?
200 episodes or some crazy amount. You were the first
I think we need
guest.
to make that a new
back.
thing.
Yeah,
Guest
like, you
brings
got to
us
bring it back
All right,
in. All
we
right.
are back. Do you want to do the sponsor mention too?
This one's
No,
a
that's
tricky one
quite
now.
right. It sounds complicated.
This one's
I
tricky.
would
This,
screw
the
it up.
rest
I
are
would
usually
screw
easy.
it
This
up.
one's tricky.
Another one of our sponsors
Sorry.
is Peach Pit, and every week, if you watch the show, you'll know that they have 40% off of a book. This week they have portrait photography from snapshots to great shots with Eric Vallon, who is a Kelby One instructor. So he's one of our buddies. Peachpit.com/Kelby1. Enter the code Kelby1.
Yeah, you get it for $11.99. That's cheap.
Crazy.
Cheap.
Cray.
Okay.
Exactly.
So a couple more. I'm going to ask a couple questions. We got a couple questions here. One question that we always get, and I had somebody even ask me this within the last week. How do you handle the copyright? So you're taking the images for Getty, but like, how much of that copyright do you own?
0. As a staff employee, Getty Images owns the copyright to all the images I take when on assignment for them. So the trade-off is I get a salary, a 401k, and camera gear. So you kind of have to decide more important to you. And I know I'm not that business savvy, and in order to be a freelancer and retain your copyright and control your images takes a lot of effort, and I'm not willing to put forth that effort. So
It sounds like you put out a lot of effort just to do what you're doing.
just to do my
It's,
job, and that's the thing. It's the work is such a grind that I don't know how I could keep up with it if that were the case.
And I think it's important for, and the reason I asked this question, I think it's important for people to realize that, because I've heard some photographers say, oh, if I have to give up my copyright, that's a deal breaker, that's a deal breaker. Well, then you won't be shooting for Getty.
Yeah, well, it just kind of depends on, and there are some people that shoot on a contributor basis for Getty where they split the copyright.
Right.
You know, so, but as a staff employee, that's not an option.
Now, I even know, like, for the stringers and, like you said, the contributors, Getty pays very well. I mean, I think you guys pay probably better than anybody. So,
cool.
So, well, I mean, so then the next step up from that is being an actual staffer. So, basically, in short, you're tonning it. So you don't care.
Doing all right.
Yeah, I know. So anyway,
Yeah.
but you're doing well. So I think for those of you who are saying, well, I won't give up my copyright and all, you know, it's like, you're getting, you are not giving it up, you are getting paid.
Yes, I get health insurance and a 401k and a salary, and so it's a trade-off.
And you don't have to pay for gear in the most expensive photography profession that exists in the world.
Yeah, because the 400-2.8, what's $11,000? Yeah, you know,
absolutely.
Sure, yeah, or 600 is about the same, you know.
All right. Yeah,
money.
they're expensive. They're crazy expensive. I want to read a couple more questions. I want to just get a couple last little minute tips and stuff. So, what lens would you recommend for high school soccer? The writer who we don't know their name because
Pat.
Is it Pat? Oh, there it is by Pat.
A few seconds ago.
All right. So Pat, he says he has the
could be she
has the 70-200 f4 and the 300 f4 and the 24-105. What would you recommend for high school?
I would go with the 300. It's going to be tough. I mean, soccer fields are enormous, much like football. And if you want to, you don't want to crop that much. You know, a 300 would be better, I think. And I tend to kind of go in the end corners, and but it depends on what you're after. If the person you're shooting happens to be the goalkeeper, then maybe you want to kind of go on the side a little bit, and you're shooting into the net. But if what you're trying to get is players driving at you, then a 300 and in the end zone would be great. Actually, if you had something longer, that would be even better. But a 300 will get you by, and but you kind of have to be patient and wait for them to come to you. Otherwise, there are little specks in the frame, and so you gotta be patient. Wait for them to come to you, and I would also have maybe your 24-105 in front of you for celebration. So 300 is good for them driving in, maybe scoring the goal, but then if they're running at you, pick up the old 24-70 get the wide picture. So.
Excellent. This question comes from Steve-O. Elsa, how do you send images over to your photo editor at Getty? Do you use the Wi-Fi, the stadium transmitter, straight from your camera, your computer? What do you do?
Everything.
Do you have a photo editor there with you?
No. This year for NFL, we may, some bigger events we have photo editors with, like playoff games or bigger game, or like Monday night
Johnny
football
Manziel
games. Monday night football games. Sometimes I'll have somebody editing. Usually this is the first quarter only if I'm remote edited. So most of the time I do things myself. So at a baseball game, for example, I have a Mets game on Friday. the workroom, there's not a workroom, so my laptop's in front of me on the field. And so in between innings or after a big play, there are 2 card slots in the 1DX, and I always have 2 in there, so when I'm ingesting one, if something happens right away, I can shoot. So just gotta make sure I know which one is which one. I'm pulling the card out. So often I'm editing myself on deadline shooting. With football, I try and come in after. If someone scores in the first quarter, I try and get at least both quarterbacks, give both teams a chance to have a drive, and then go run in, transmit some quickly, and then head back out there and then
really?
back at halftime. Yeah. So, basketball is kind of the same thing. It just depends on what time the game starts, and I'm just kind of aware of what deadlines are for newspapers and websites and everything now is constantly updated. So I kind of hang out as much as I can and feel like if I got a number of images in the bag that I could transmit, then I'll go in and send and try and go as quickly as possible. Events like the World Cup, for example, we had editors, and so we were just shooting the whole time, and we were tethered, and so we had Ethernet cables run to our positions, and we plugged into our cameras, and so all the editing for the World Cup took place in Rio. Didn't matter what stadium you were at. All the editing was in Rio.
We are down to 3 minutes. I hate to cut you off, but you actually have a flight. Hey, we are down to 3 minutes, and I hate to, because boy, I tell you what, this is going to be a really good 90-minute show. Anyway, 3 minutes, RC says. Okay, we got a couple of quick giveaways for you today. We are giving away a copy of this. What is this?
Photoshop for Lightroom users.
Yes, and
Photoshop CC book for digital photographers.
And if you want to come to either my Kansas City or St. Louis seminar, which is coming up here in a couple of weeks, we'll give away a ticket to that. Just go to kelby1.com/contest and tell them what happens here, Matt, because I know this is your favorite part.
It is my favorite part. Fill out the form.
Tell us in the comments what you want to win, which book you want to win, or if you want to go to a particular seminar. When you're done, hit the send now button, and dreams come true. All right, so you got any we only have like 2 minutes left. Any tips for photographer? What would you tell somebody they're shooting their first football game?
What? I don't know. Oh,
I think I could think of a great story to close this up.
Oh, go ahead.
Is it a tip?
It's not a tip, but it's
we'll do the story. Hold it on.
Tip. Oh, tip. Okay. If you're shooting NFL, I suggest I like to kneel, just because you can see underneath their helmets a little better. It's amazing how different the perspective is when you're standing and shooting versus kneeling. So I feel like it helps clean up your backgrounds a little bit, and you can see their faces better. I like to see their faces, and that's just my hang up, but I would recommend kneeling, getting down low, but make sure that you can get up and move quickly when they're coming at you. So, there you go.
All right, what's the story?
So I think we can all agree that sports photography is largely has men in it.
Yes.
So have you ever had any problems being a woman in sports photography?
Well, I guess I don't know if you'd call it a problem, but
an issue.
An issue. Well,
and how did you handle such issue? I heard the story, so
I didn't handle it well. When I first started, I did an internship at the Sporting News, and so I was still a junior in college when I did this, and so it was a fall internship, so I got to do a lot of different things, and so they sent me to cover the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh. It was the Colts and the Steelers, and at the end of the game,
downtown.
Yeah, it was great.
Sorry.
But at the end of the game, they were giving the AFC Championship trophy to the Steelers and the head coach. And so they put up a stage, and there's kind of barricades around it. Everybody kind of tries to find the best spot that they can. It's always a scrum. If you look at any NFL game at the post game, it's just a free for all.
Yeah.
So this is the first kind of big NFL game I had ever been to, and I didn't have the greatest spot, but I was kind of centerish. I could see what I needed to see. Everything was fine. And then I felt I had longer hair than this, and I typically wear my hair back anyway. But I felt someone grab my ponytail and yank me to the ground, and this guy said, "Move it, girly." And I'm just like, "Are you kidding me?" I was just kind of shocked. Like, I think it was the girly part that kind of ticked me off a little bit. Not necessarily, okay, yeah, it's going to be a shoving match, but grabbing somebody and pulling him to the ground, not the best way to go about trying to get a spot. And they jumped in my spot.
Did you shank him?
It was a television guy. It's always the television guys.
I know, the television guys are...
But it wasn't a network guy. It was probably an affiliate guy, because he had a cord with a pack. And it was an old, I don't know if he had a tape in there. I don't know what. It was like 95. So as they're passing the AFC Championship trophy to head coach Cower, I'm unscrewing his cord from the back of his camera in his pack. And he's like kind of, tapping it like his camera went dead. And then I tapped him on the shoulder and he turns around. I was like, oh, you need this? And I just whipped it and I ran like hell.
Love it.
Yeah, baby.
That was
done.
Don't mess with Elsa.
Don't mess with me. Yeah.
All right. So hey, we have one last thing to cover that I said I was going to do earlier, and I completely forgot about it. Juan luckily just brought to my attention. So back in June, well, I've been looking for this for a long time, but back in June, I went on Twitter and I said, I'm trying to find this guitar. So what it is it's a Fender Stratocaster with a Union Jack. Okay, technically I learned today it is not a Union Jack, that it is only called the Union Jack if it is on a British ship. It is otherwise called just the Union flag. So I was looking for a Fender Stratocaster with a Union flag on it. And what I wanted, the one I found that I liked, was distressed, meaning that it looks like it's from the 60s. It's been beat up, it's tarnished, it's messed up. People on Twitter really jumped in and tried to help me find it, and we were able to find out the actual company that made the one that had been sold years ago. I contacted them, we sold that years ago. But they said, but we'll make one for you. And so while it is not a very expensive Fender, it is a very inexpensive one. It's not a Squire, which is like, the kids version. But, here it is, there it is. So it just came in today, and so I'll be playing this at Photoshop World.
It's already like beat up and everything.
No, that's the idea. It's and they replace the hardware, and so I think they just take the whole thing apart, distress the living daylights out of it. Can we get up to the headstock all the way to the top there? Whoa, whoa! It's like a roller coaster ride. And so, yeah, that's it. So it kind of looks all nasty and beat up and dirty, and I just love it. Now, it's not even in tune. I literally just saw it 2 minutes before we walked on the set. So I'll have to tune it and stuff, and I'll be playing it at Photoshop World. I got some other ones. I'll be taking my Les Paul and so on. But anyway, I've been dying to get that. Thanks to everybody that tried to help me out on Twitter and on Facebook about that. Elsa, thank you. You were an awesome guest. Very, very great. I could talk to you just till the cows come home. Thanks to everybody for watching. Matt, you were very good today.
Hey, try.
The intro.
It was the intro, and then when we took us to break, when we were already on break. That was when you started pointing and they'd already gone to break. He said, take us to break, and we were on break, and I was like...
I thought that was good.
That was good.
If you could have seen the way he did that, you'll
it was magic. It was magic.
Thank you for unsolicited testimony. Where can people go learn more about you?
Well, I don't know if there's really anything to learn about me. I do have a website, but I haven't updated in quite some time. I will be updating it soon, so...
Because now we put pressure on you.
Yes, exactly. So please don't judge me on that alone. But, my images are obviously on GettyImages.com, but they kind of bubble and never know what's going to get used. Every once in a while I see my stuff on MLB.com and, ESPN and
What are you shooting? Are you shooting an NFL game this weekend?
Not this weekend. I am shooting a baseball game on Friday, and then I go to a tennis tournament in New Haven, Connecticut.
Did I mention that?
The Yale Open.
That Rob Foldy also shoots a lot of baseball.
Yeah,
Be careful.
He does. I probably wouldn't see him until a postseason game.
That's when he comes. That's when he's at his worst.
That's when he comes out to play.
Yeah,
very amorous.
That's where he's extremely amorous. I'll tell you what. When you get to postseason with him, I don't know what it is, but yeah, he becomes,
Scott came back a different person.
Yeah, he gets very handsy.
Awesome.
Anyway, thank you so much, Elsa. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you guys next week right here on the grid. Take care, everybody.